Welcome to Renting Ready. Today we are going to look at Unit 1, Understanding Tenancies. My name is Pilar and I will be your tutor for today. Welcome to another Renting Ready lesson. I hope you find it useful. What are we learning today? We are going to be talking about different types of tenancy agreements when you are renting from a private landlord. A private landlord could refer to an individual landlord or to a estate agent or a company that owns properties. Before we start, please take a pen and paper in case you want to make some notes. Do you have some pen and paper? Are you ready? Whenever you see this icon, it means I would like you to answer a question. Let's get started. Tenancy agreements in private renting. If you are renting for a private landlord, you could have an assured sharehold tenancy, which could be separate or joint, or you could have an excluded license agreement. First, we are going to talk about assured sharehold tenancies, which are often referred to as ASTs. What is an assured sharehold tenancy? It is the most common type of tenancy in the private rented sector, also called PRS. An assured sharehold tenancy is for a fixed period of time, normally 6 to 12 months, or could be longer. The landlord must provide a reason, grounds, to evict during the fixed term. The notice period depends on the reason or grounds. If you share accommodation with one or more people, you could have either a separate assured sharehold tenancy or a joint assured sharehold tenancy. What is a separate assured sharehold tenancy? Is when only one person is named in the tenancy, even if it is a shared house. The person named in this tenancy agreement is responsible only for the share of the rent. If one of the other housemates fails to pay their share of the rent, this does not affect the others. What is a joint assured sharehold tenancy? Is when more than one person are named in the tenancy agreement. All the named people are jointly responsible for the tenancy. This means you could be responsible if another named person does not pay their share of the rent. Therefore, it is quite important to be aware of joint tenancy agreements. We are going to talk about excluded license agreements, which are sometimes also called lodgers agreements. What is an excluded license agreement? This kind of agreement is used when you do not have exclusive use of a property and you have little rights as an occupier. You can be asked to leave with reasonable notice. The landlord does not need to provide a reason. Reasonable notice is normally the same amount of time as the period you pay your rent for. Examples of what an excluded license agreement is used. When you live with your landlord as a lodger, so you live in their home with them, some hostels, some supported housing, and student accommodation. Now let's identify some tenancies. For each example, we are going to have a house, one or more tenancy agreements, we will have a landlord, and we'll have one or more tenants. So, first one, what type of tenancy do you think this one is? we have 1, 2, and 3 tenants all living together in a share house. We have one tenancy agreement, and the landlord doesn't live in this house. The landlord lives in their own place. What kind of tenancy agreement do you think this is? That's a joint assure short-hold tenancy agreement, because we have 3 tenants living together in one house, and they have all signed one tenancy agreement, just one document. Let's do a second example. So we have a house, and we have again 3 tenants living together. Each tenant has their own individual tenancy agreement, and the landlord does not live in this property. What kind of tenancy agreement do you think this is? That's right, that's a separate assure short-hold tenancy. Even if 3 people are living together in the same house, each of them has signed their own tenancy agreement. One more example. So we have a house, and we have one person living there together with the landlord, and they sign an agreement. So the landlord is basically renting a room in their own house. So what kind of tenancy do you think this one is? That's right. This is not an actual tenancy, but an excluded license agreement, also called lodger's agreement. To recap, if you rent a flat or a room from a private landlord, you will probably have an assure short-hold tenancy, also called AST. If you live on your own, this will be a separate AST, just signed by yourself and the landlord. If you live in a house share, your AST could be separate or joint. A separate AST is just signed by you and the landlord, and you are only responsible for your part of the rent. A joint AST is signed by you, all your housemates, and the landlord. You are responsible for the full rent if one of your housemates doesn't pay their part. If you live with your landlord as a lodger, you live in a hostel, in supported housing, or in a student accommodation, you will probably sign an excluded license agreement. An excluded license does not give you many rights. You can be asked to leave with reasonable notice, and the landlord does not need to provide a reason. So next time you are looking for a new place to live, make sure you know what type of agreement the landlord is asking you to sign. I hope you found today's topics useful. If you have any questions, please contact your crisis tutor. Thank you for your participation in today's Renting Ready lesson. Bye.